right here, sing for the king.
The game is yours to play now.
The light provides.
This is Eventide Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Eventide Radio. This is a fan-made Destiny podcast where we have roundtable discussions about a variety of different topics concerning the popular video game franchise. At its core, this show is about having in-depth discussions about the game from a variety of different perspectives. I'm your host, Scotty, with me are my co-hosts, Rob and Mapador, and today we are back with a huge episode because Edge of Fate just dropped on Tuesday. We're recording this on the following Sunday, so Edge of Fate's been out for a little less than a full week at this point, but it has been release week, so to speak, and there is a lot to dive into.
Yes.
The brand new campaign is out. There's a new destination. We're not going to touch on the raid, but as of now, I think, 6-7 hours ago, they just finished the Desert Perpetual, the first team. It took them like 16 hours or something. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But to put that in perspective, we're pretty fresh on the Edge of Fate release train, no pun intended. But yeah, so normally I start these episodes by asking you guys, what are you guys up to this week in Destiny? But of course, I think I know what you guys have been up to this week in Destiny. We've all been doing the same shit. So, Map, to open things up, what is one thing you liked about the campaign? One thing you were kind of like indifferent on, and then one thing you didn't like about the campaign. Just as a little bit of a appetizer, a teaser for what we're about to get into.
Okay, so what I liked, and I think most people are going to agree, is the story. Obviously, the Final Shape was a good conclusion story, but this is probably the best story we've had in Destiny, where it's like, it's a new thing. You know how we've had new stories start in different places. Obviously, the start of Destiny 1 was much to be desired. So it was nice having like a story start that is actually interesting. The characters are interesting. And yeah, so I would say that was the thing I very much liked. I wasn't really that interested in the story going into this. Like, I was just like, you know, it didn't really pique my interest that much. But now I'm like, okay, this is definitely something. There's a lot more meat on it than I previously thought. Something that was all right was the gameplay. Some missions were good. Some were a bit mixed for me. It's kind of on the what I didn't sort of like. But yes, the gameplay was better than some of the other bigger expansions we've got recently. I'm not going to go in too depth with that yet, because it might be a bit controversial.
Sure.
But what I didn't like is I had a fair few bugs on day one. I don't know if other people had this, but I had audio issues.
I'm still having the audio issues.
Okay. That's a known thing.
Oh, what? So guns cutting out, sound effects stuff. Yep. Okay, I stopped having them I did some PvP. I did some just quest stuff. I wasn't having them. It was only in the story missions. Literally only then. So I was wondering if it was a mission issue. So some dialogue was missing, not like they were on strike, so they weren't voicing it. No, like the dialogue would just cut out mid-sentence. I would, and stuff like that. I did have a few bugs where I did fall through the map a few times when I was doing the Matter Ball, or whatever it's called, the Matterspark.
Matterspark, yeah.
Yeah, there was one thing where I fell through the game world a few times on a bit in one of the early missions, and I thought I was doing something wrong. I was getting quite frustrated, and I was like, oh no, it's just the game being the game.
It's just broken.
Yeah. Slight criticism. I know she was filling in for who I forgot who voices Ikora now. Like, I know
it's changed.
Savathun's voice actor, I'm sorry, I've forgotten her name. She's a great voice actor. She was filling in for the person who does Ikora's voice because she was on strike for the voice actor strike, which is completely justified. I stand with voice actors on that. They should not be replaced by AI in any world. However, some lines, great. I could tell that she was channeling her, Savathun's voice actor was channeling her inner Ikora. Some were not great. And I do think, for me, it pulled me out of it for a little bit. And then I was like, oh, yeah, she's on the strike. So I kind of got used to it. But then later on, even after the first cutscene's very jarring.
Yes.
And it feels like the audio for her voice doesn't match the scene at all.
Yes.
Like, there's no audio mixing on. It's like she recorded the lines in the booth and then it was slapped straight into the timeline on the editor. Like that's what it sounded like to me. So I imagine it was very last minute. So, but I understand the circumstances. So that's not really a criticism on anyone. That's just I kind of wish we got to experience it with her voice. Though I am going to replay the story on my other characters when they do put a voice lines in, because they are going to do that. But yeah, I will get into other nitpicks later, but they were just to answer the three things there. That was
absolutely
those.
Perfect answers. Rob, what about you? One thing you liked, one thing you are indifferent on, meh, whatever, and then one thing you disliked about the campaign.
I think I'm gonna have a weird one. So I agree that I think the campaign itself was good. But the thing that I liked, and I think this is like the super, super unpopular opinion, I liked the actual presentation, we'll call it, of the way they did this campaign. Like, I was thinking back to when Final Shape launched and how kind of not pleasant of an experience it ended up being, because our clan had plans to try to do day 1 raid or maybe day 2 raid, because that was the only day that we were available. But anyway, it was like, we only had 4 days to be raid ready or 3 days to be raid ready. So it was like blitz through the campaign, power level as much as you can, and then hope to God that it all works out. And it's like, I don't really think I stopped to smell the flowers of that campaign. But then I went back and played it on like an alternate character and kind of took my time. And it's like, I don't want to, people are going to crucify this. I'm not saying that the Final Shape campaign is bad, but it was like Omega super linear. And they said that going into like the Final Shape launch, right? But it was just like, you just feel like you're going from one spot to the next, and you get a little bit of exposition and dialogue, and then you go to the next spot and start the next campaign, and it's just like, you're not stopping at any point. And that was kind of the point, right? Like, you're just trying to rush to get to the witness and confront him and kick his ass, and like, that's all fine. Like, I don't have any problem with that. But going and doing something where it's like sort of the exact opposite of that, and to be honest, kind of the opposite of what the last few campaigns have felt like. Like, I'm thinking of like Lightfall did that kind of quite a bit, but then like Witch Queen had those like side missions where you had to do like the 2 truths and 2 lies kind of thing, where you like it just kind of broke up the presentation of it all. And I think that this I really, really liked, because it wasn't just like this blitz to the end. It was like trying to, like, I it was the first campaign I think that I didn't sit and just bang it out in one night. Like, I did it over the span of like 3 or 4 sessions where I'd like, I would do some kind of side stuff and explore Kepler a little bit, and then go, okay, I clearly don't have Mattermorph, and I don't know where to get it, and it's probably going to be unlocked in the one of the campaign missions. So then it was like, I don't know, it felt more catering to sort of the exploration, and that's been kind of this common complaint that people have been posting on Reddit lately of like, oh, the game needs to go back to its like mysterious exploration, like we don't know what happened during the collapse kind of thing, like that drew everyone in during D1. And I was getting like, I think I messaged you guys this earlier in the week, but I was getting kind of Mars Venus kind of like from D1, where it's like you have this like installation research center that's just sort of like grown over and been ransacked, and now there's just aliens kind of taking over. Like the last few destinations that we have gotten have been these big like alien worlds. Like, you look at like Savathun's Throne World, and you look at Final Shape where it looks like an MC Escher painting, and I know, and then you have like Lightfall where it's like it's it still to me doesn't feel like it fits in Destiny's world because it's this like weird futuristic landscape, and I get that, like, that's the point. It just, I've always talked about, like, I think the game is at its best when it's in kind of this like post-apocalyptic environment versus like gothic alien worlds, and this kind of goes back to that post-apocalyptic-y feel. So I was kind of digging it, where you're like exploring these installations and research centers and like trying to piece together this mystery. And so I think it just sort of like really catered to like what I want out of Destiny. And so I was just digging, exploring, and so that was the positive. I think what I was meh on was, I think, again, maybe this is the controversial opinion, I'm still trying to understand the ending. I mean, I guess we'll get more into spoilers later, but just sort of
got you.
Like the general ending, like I don't know if I completely got it. Like, spoilers, like you find out that one of the 9, 3 is dead, but it, like, did he die? It died because it was trying to warn us. Like I need to go back and watch some cutscenes.
Do you want me to explain? Do you want me to explain?
Sure.
So it was forced into our, like, it knew it was going to die. It's like
that's right. It was forced. The whole analogy of like us getting put into a painting or something, right? Like,
yeah, like the 9 can't exist in our world, so it coming into our world. So then Maya Sundaresh forced it into our world.
Right. So it died, and then, but it needed to warn us about this like cataclysmic event, which I think is good, right? Like, they're from day one, they're setting up this is what the threat is, global end of the world, real bad.
So it knew it was going to die as it was being pulled in by Maya Sundaresh. So it orchestrated all of that. So that once it died, we would revive it for a second, so it get a bit longer life to go, hey, look, this is going to happen. You need to do this.
Yeah. And that I understood that part. I think it was just kind of you're right. I forgot the being pulled into our 3-dimensional space, and it's a 4-dimensional being. Like, yeah, like that's fine. I think the cutscene was really, really cool. I'm glad that they are setting up it has to be a big world-ending event, right? Like, for there to be stakes, but it's like,
it's gotta be
coming off. I'm sick of people comparing this to the MCU. Like, I know it's like the most relevant recent thing, but it's like we just had the Thanos arc, so like, what do we do now? And like, they set things up better, and I do agree with that. I just kind of was like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, we know what the stakes are. I think I was maybe just hoping for something a little more inventive or clever than just like a world-ending cataclysmic event. But I guess that's like what you have to do, right? Like, but we'll see where it goes. I don't dislike it. Like, I'm just kind of meh on it. That's the
okay.
And then what's the thing I don't like? Shit, I had it. Now I lost it.
No, that's okay. Again, we can edit.
Yeah, come back.
There's no complaints. 10 out of 10.
No, it's not a 10 out of 10, but it's definitely up there with me. I had something and I lost it, and I got kind of overwhelmed with the getting all excited about something. Come back to me. What are yours, Scotty?
One thing I liked about the campaign, to be specific, is the cutscene game has been stepped up even more. I feel like the big cutscenes are like really well done.
I'm wondering who makes them now. Because this different company now, or maybe Sony.
But they're really good, especially Lodi's origin scene, Ikora's origin scene, and
that was awesome.
The final cutscene where you have like the parallel moment of Lodi sharing 3's message and the conductor killing 3. That whole thing was really well done as well. So I just think overall the cutscenes were really, really impressive this time around, and not that they haven't been impressive in the past, but I feel like it kind of sets a new standard, because it hasn't always been like that, right? Like, you think back to not that long ago, like Shadowkeep, Beyond Light era, and cutscenes were not at this level.
No,
they just were not.
This is what I find interesting is So we have like them go. You get in 2 expansions a year. You know, you pay for the year thing if you want. They're Rise of Iron size, Shadowkeep sized ish. I'd say Rise of Iron slightly better fits that because Shadowkeep was yes, they built it from scratch again, but they already had like the layout of the moon. You know, they didn't have to have a whole destination. You know, obviously they still have to make it because it's a different thing. But I thought it was a lot higher standard and quality than the previous smaller DLCs that we've had. In terms of like presentation and story wise and quality.
Very much so. It feels like an actual like big mainline yearly release to me.
I mean, yeah, I spent more time on this campaign than any other one that I can recall in the last like ever. Maybe Forsaken. Forsaken was pretty long. But
for me, I think part of that is because this is like the one time I haven't bothered with the raid race.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think before where I've been like, right, I need to finish this. And like, I remember when Final Shape launched and I could play it. I like bashed out the campaign in like, I didn't go to bed.
Right.
Because I wanted to get it done.
And that's my point. I did the same thing, but I didn't really take time to like take it in.
No.
And because like in this, like there was no, there was no incentive for me to try to do the day one race. So I was kind of like, I'm going to take my time and really take in the destination. So, yeah, I if anything, the camp. It's funny that they compared it to Rise of Iron and Shadowkeep, but like the campaign was way longer than Rise of Iron's. Like what, 6 or 7 missions or something like that.
It's not very long at all.
Right,
no.
And Shadowkeep's really short. Like this is one of the longer campaigns that I can recall, and you can argue like
it is.
There's some padding in there. But it all, I think, is in service to tell the story that they were trying to sell. So I would still lump that into the campaign.
Yeah, I think before it would have been padding either. Because the story was bad. So it was like, yeah, you get more story information, but the story information was kind of boring. But now it's like, okay, we get more story information with like a padding mission, but it's like, well, you know, I enjoyed the dialogue and what they were saying. Obviously, if you're not interested in the story for Destiny that much and you're just here to shoot things, then I can understand why a padding mission is
one thing I thought about that I think makes this like quote unquote like padding a little more engaging is that I actually kind of like care and am interested in the Ionians and the House of Exile as opposed to something like the Cloud Striders. Like I don't give a rat's ass about the Cloud Striders, but I think the Ionians and the House of Exile are far more interesting.
Like 2 years ago.
Oh my god!
Well, and that's just it. It's like the people of Neomuna, you don't see them, so you don't care about them.
I do think,
and they bear no impact on anything ever.
Having the Ionians here was a direct criticism of the Neomuna or whatever they're referred to not being there. I think that's a direct. It's like, okay, we've gone to a place and there are some people here. We're going to show you that there's people here. Even now that they've changed how you talk with, say, vendors or people now, that you have dialogue boxes. You know, boxes is a bit
like
more
No
like
Man's Sky now.
It feels very RPG, and like I think it's great. Like they're clearly trying to shift the game in a new direction that I think is for the betterment of. Like maybe not all of those pieces landed exactly where they wanted them to, but the fact that they're on the board now and they can start kind of playing with them, and you know, now maybe eventually we'll have conversational dialogue where we can actually choose conversation pieces to have with them of like, you know, like that this is the opening to a much larger world. Also, I remembered my dislike.
Oh yes, hit me with your dislike.
I just made that comment about comparing to the MCU, but it was the same problem with the Eternals. Where it's like, oh, they've just been on Earth this whole time, like observing all of these events going by and not intervening. And there was a couple of dialogue lines like that, where it's like, oh, the Nine have always been here, sort of observing all of these events, and they've been slowly pulling the strings, and their dark matter footprint or fingerprints have been left on us, and we just don't know to what extent they've intervened. And it's like, I hate that shit so much.
I mean,
like
I don't mind it because I know that we've had law reasons as to specific things, like the 9 let Skolos out. Was it Skolos?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
Right, so he could warn us about
prison.
the orcs coming and all that stuff. Like, but I don't like it because the whole point of this is like you make your own fate, and then it's
I think that's why they're doing it.
What?
I think that's why they're talking about that, is because obviously it's the whole Guardians make your own fate. But
right, but
we're gonna
there's an
bind the 9
implication.
and defy
There's an
it.
implication that we haven't been, and that's frustrating.
Oh yeah. This
No,
kind of like nullifies every other moment of like agency we've had in the past.
They've changed some things, but not everything. Like,
right, but we don't know, and that's frustrating. Like, I'd rather Jim not even bring that up as a plot point.
Say because they're fourth dimensional beings, their life isn't a straight line. Like again, this is typically how fourth dimensional beings are portrayed in media. I don't know. I've never met a fourth dimensional being before, but because they're fourth dimensional, their life is not a flat straight line.
Right.
And as they even say in the thing, they don't see time. They see time like a flat map. Right. So, they didn't intervene with the Witness because they knew we were going to beat the Witness. That was like things like that. That's what they do say that in the campaign. So with Free dying and it needing Lodi there and Ikora there to warn us, it would have seen, Ikora in her past life and seen the future, gone, okay, I need to move Ikora, blah 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 blah. Oh, I don't need to help the Guardians, and the Fallen and the Hive and the Cabal defeat the Witness because they do that. Well, I can see that they beat the Witness. I feel like if we weren't going to beat the Witness, they would have intervened, So they see events like that. So there are some things they said they have manipulated, like Ikora a little bit, and us. Oh, we'll probably find out what it is. We'll probably find out it's to do with how we died and how Ghost found us. I imagine it's to do with that.
Yeah, I don't like that weird predetermined, like I don't know, anything with butterfly effect type shit. Like, just I don't like it. 'Cause again, literally the whole premise of this game is like we make our own fate, and then it's like, oh, but now we don't know what they influence.
I think that will come back up in the story. I think that will be a part of it, as in like the 9 will try and do something and we won't, and we'll do our own thing.
Right. But if it ends up becoming
like
something like important, then that's like, I don't know. I don't want it. Like,
understandable.
I think they've specifically picked this story thing on purpose because obviously we had Guardians make their own fate, Vault of Glass, and then they liked that so much they took that as a story thing. We have that with Cade, nobody makes my fate but me, and now it's come up again, and I feel like that is what the story's going to be going forward. Not saying that the 9 have made our fate, but that we have made our own fate, and that will be the story.
Probably, and that's probably that's what's going to be how we beat them, right? Is like our will is our own and all that nonsense. I just sprinkling those little lines in there just kind of irritated me slightly. I like how they said
"sir" was like a mistake or something. There's
did?
There's like a line in the emissary says like there's a line at some point. I need to double check, but they basically were like Zoe was like an experiment that went a little bit wrong, or he was kind of like a bit like he was a bit of a mistake. He wasn't really, so I think that's quite funny.
That's crazy. To touch on what I thought was like meh, I don't think I gave my meh point yet. Mission structure and just the gameplay, the missions in general. I feel like comparing this to like previous Legendary campaigns, I feel like this one does not have nearly as many memorable, epic set piece moments.
I agree with that.
Like I feel like a lot of the, boss fights and missions and things like that in Edge of Fate feel kind of side questy.
Sure.
As opposed to like, I don't know. I mean, you can rip on life. I can rip on life all day, but I will admit that there were some pretty cool set piece, memorable moments in that campaign. Like when you storm the Veil containment facility or whatever, and you're fighting alongside like Keitel's forces, storming Callus's ship and everything, and exploring that for the first time.
The first time you fight a Tormentor in that tiny little room and you're not expecting it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Exactly. The Tormentor fight.
Or in Witch
the
Queen.
Ahamkara and Witch Queen.
Exactly.
Oh my god, that is so awesome and epic.
I liked the bit in the last mission where you see Free. That was cool. That I was not expecting that.
I was not expecting that either.
That was
I don't know what I was expecting to see, but that was cool.
Sort of thing. Joe, what I will say, this campaign did a better job of being a mystery campaign than the Witch Queen campaign.
I will agree with that.
Yes, we did. It was a good plot twist that Savathun was given the light. Like that was very cool. I'm not saying that was bad.
That the Hive were destined to be light, or the Traveler came to them and they were tricked. However, the campaign itself, the missions, they didn't really feel like an investigation. No, it just felt like killing stuff, which was fine at the time. But looking
I think
back,
part of the problem with that is just the marketing. I think they kind of like advertised it wrong in that sense.
Yeah.
I think if it was marketed differently, I feel like I wouldn't be hung up on that. But I agree with you in the sense that this feels more mystery-esque.
Out of the big campaigns that they've done, Witch Queen, Lightfall, Final Shape, I think the Witch Queen one was the weakest in terms of what you did in the mission. I think the problem Lightfall had was I think the story missions were good, but as in terms of what you did in them, the set pieces and stuff like that, but the story was not.
I see what you're saying.
I think I agree with you. I think I remember more specific events in the Lightfall campaign as actual like gameplay things that stood out.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
A lot of the Witch Queen missions were go into building,
scan a thing, and find out something.
Yeah, kill Hive. I know I'm boiling it down, and you can do that with anything. But like we had like, you know, in Lightfall you storm Callus's thing. You have the tank mission. I like that mission. You go and discover this, and then obviously the Final Shape had big set pieces as well, like very big set pieces. This only really had one. It felt very grounded, but I that's kind of what original Destiny was like. So them trying to go back to the mystery of it, I feel like you can't have to. I mean, maybe they could have had a more interesting boss fight at some point in the middle of the campaign. I know we had the Gate Lord. I can't wait for like I Hate Everything or someone to do a review on the thing, and they're like, they've recycled. I'm not watching that. They've recycled the D1. The fight isn't.
Not at all.
The Gate Lord fight, no, the fight isn't, but obviously a Vex Gate Lord, coming out of a Vex Gate is, But yeah, I felt like it was a lot more, it's very existential, but it was still quite grounded, which I think Destiny 1 was, which I think they got that quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think there could have been a bit more variety in the missions.
I just wish there was more memorable and different and interesting. Some of like the boss fights and whatnot, there's just, I feel like in the previous like 3 campaigns, I just think those had more moments as opposed to this one.
I'm very mixed on it because some of the missions were like, oh, this is really fun, and then the next one I was like, oh, I don't want to be a ball again. But then the one after I was like, oh,
I
like the ball.
That's where I think the campaign, because it was delivered.
Oh yeah, if you didn't have the ball or the teleport gun,
it would kind of suck if it didn't have the ball.
It would have been way worse. It would have been like, this is boring. I do think people should realise that if you took the Matter Ball out of the campaign, obviously they wouldn't make it with the setup.
Right.
It would have been different because they've made it with that in mind. But if you took the Matter Ball out, because people have been complaining about it, I have my criticisms of it. I think it was used in some places too much and in some places not enough.
I would mostly agree with that, I think.
I think having a timer in the missions for certain parts was a mistake.
Yes.
I think you should have either had a longer timer in the missions or some parts because of a Vex thing or a 9 thing that you can only be in the matter thing for so long.
Yeah.
And then you make something based around that rather than having it restricted in the campaign. And it's like, oh, every time in the campaign, it's for 30 seconds and then goes up to a minute and a half or whatever.
Right.
I know they wanted to have the Metroidvania upgrade feel, which I completely get. But I think that hindered the creativity a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. In certain, especially in the earlier missions where it's you just sort of have an arbitrary timer.
Yeah,
but
I think if they got rid of that, then it could have been more creative.
Yeah, I do feel like at the end they do some pretty interesting things where like now you have to time the teleport because you have to land on a platform.
Yes,
and then you're like, I when they started doing that, I'm like, holy shit! Like I wanted more of that. And it was kind of like they waited to the end to pull off the last few like really interesting. Like I at the end of the day, I was still really engaged the entire time because I was just glad that it wasn't like platform traversal, get into a room and fight a bunch of enemies, and then go to another traversal area and then room full of enemies. Like I'm glad that the traversal was done in a completely different way, and that some of the stuff wasn't like it didn't necessarily end in some cataclysmic like. You're stuck in this room and you have to survive and sweat your ass off for 5 minutes straight and kill everything. Like, I appreciated that the campaign pace. Like, I agree that some of the stuff wasn't as memorable. I do think the 2 shielded Hydra things that were on the spinning rings, that was kind of neat.
That was cool.
That was one of the missions where I'd fallen through the map.
Oh god, that would suck.
And it wasn't like I made a mistake. There was like collision
just
issue
through the floor,
yeah, and I just like hit a wall and it just went and just shot me through the floor, and I was like, oh, great.
Yeah. But no, I'm so glad that they did something different than like as memorable as the combat sequences were. They're still just you're standing in an arena and killing things
and shooting things,
and it's a first person shooter. Like people go back to the original D1 campaign, and it's like you go into a room, scan a thing with your ghost coming out, and then you do that 22 times or whatever.
That was literally the criticism of Destiny for like a few years. Right, it's the scan and defend game.
Right, but you're still doing that even in the Lightfall campaign. You're standing in a bigger arena, and maybe you have more things to shoot in an interesting way. But the fact of the matter is, you're still standing in an arena and shooting things and defending things, and like it's a first person shooter. You're not going to get past that. What you do need to do is find more ways to make it interesting to get there.
There is a line of puzzles where you're like, oh, is it too puzzly and it's like near a raid encounter, or an exotic thing in a raid that like you're doing a puzzle for, Outbreak. Well, it wouldn't have been Outbreak. What was the name of it in D1? Or was it
Outbreak Prime?
Yeah, whatever it was called. There's a line of having something puzzly, and then, in the campaign I'm going to do binary and stand on different platforms and open a case.
Yeah, and there was definitely a handful of places where I was sitting there scratching my head for longer than I would have liked to have. But I will say, when you do finally have that aha moment, it felt good. And people were like, I remember, like, this is when I was like, I read, reading on Reddit, there's a lot of people that are real pissed off and hate Matterspark, and like, I got through 3 missions and I just turned the game off, F this and this, like, and people are acting like you're using Matterspark the entire campaign, and it's like, you're being really, really disingenuous about, like, the critique of this. Like, there are times
I do
where
think there are people who just want to hate it for the sake of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's just
there's plenty of people out there who I genuinely think buy the Destiny expansion just so they can complain about it.
Well,
because
I hate everything does that,
up.
And that's that. I cannot watch that guy's videos. All right, sorry, we shouldn't be checking on. I just like it. Some of the things that he brings up are so disingenuous sometimes.
You're hating on a fellow Brit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, what can I say? No, it's just I understand that maybe it was a shakeup, but if they had just done the same thing again, I think that would stand for much more criticism of like, okay, you just invented another planet where you're just traversing around and killing things. And
do you know
it's
what
like
the good thing is, right? The good thing is that they said that this was an experiment, and I'm glad they're experimenting. And if people don't want this, they're not going to do it again.
Right.
So if people give enough feedback and go, hey, look, this matter thing, this was shit, don't do it, they're going to go, okay, well, we won't do it. Because I know people are going to come at that argument and go, yeah, but we paid money. I'm like, right, and okay, right, cool. That's what a live service product's like.
Right.
But they're experimenting. It's so much better than
I'm
we
so
get
glad they
another
did. Yeah.
linear campaign that's like not as good as the final shape, because it would be immediately compared to the final shape.
Exactly. This needed
linear campaign.
It needed to do something to stand out on its own, and it does, and it's very memorable.
And I think the story's better for it.
I agree. It all kind of feeds into the mystery and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish, and what that planet is. And I think it all synchronously works really, really well. I think there was only one or two times where in one of the missions I was like, oh, I just did a puzzle, we're doing another one, and it's like, yeah, it's not perfect, but I really liked it and I had fun playing through it, which is like, that's the whole point of this. It's a video game. It should be
the standout
fun.
mission for me was the nuclear core one.
Yeah, where you're like constantly
the criticality. I was about to bring that up.
Yeah,
that one was cool.
They brought back the sound. They brought back the nuclear core from Deep Stone. I can't find that sound effect anywhere. I want someone to rip that from the game, please.
Yeah.
I'm begging anyone who data mine stuff. I need that. I want that to be my text notification sound.
Oh god!
Talk about a shakeup of campaign mission. Like, holy crap! Like a race against the clock, and like, once you find out that you can just kind of sit there and farm enemies to add time, it's like really not that bad. But
there was this one bit where I was like, I forgot what I was doing. I think I was having a conversation with someone, so I wasn't doing the puzzle bit. So I was just killing things repeatedly, and I think I built it up to about like 8 minutes or something.
Exactly. So I'm fine. Like when you first load in, you got like 3.5 minutes. You're like, holy shit, I don't know, I'm gonna pull this off, and then you're like, oh, okay, we're fine. I could just keep adding
if you
time.
just let the timer run out?
I don't know. I kind of wanted to find out. Also, was like nervous.
Best. I'll tell. Wait, actually, I can tell you what happens when you find out, because what I did is I went into the wrong Matterspark hole, basically. And I got stuck on the other side, because on the other side of it, there is no other Matterspark portal. So I was just stuck in a chasm. Nothing happens really. It just says your light fades away and you restart. So just so you know.
That's fine.
But
good to know.
Yeah. So yeah. The best part in that mission is when, I don't know, it's probably about halfway through, and Lodi's trying to get in touch with 3 and trying to
and he's
contact
being shown
him.
things.
Yes, and then he's like going through like all like these
like
extinction level
stuck
events,
in a
and he's
trap
like
or something, and it's like
like a bear burning in like boiling
oil
mud or something.
Yeah,
tar.
Yeah, and then he brings up the meteor, and you're like, I don't know, my interpretation, I was like, oh shit, are they like trying to like make us go extinct? Basically, is this like all part of their plan?
Right.
I'm like, oh no.
One of my favorite bits in the cutscene was, I really like the imagery of the Black Fleet like invading like Earth. Like there's all of the concept art stuff, and we kind of got a little bit of that, but we never really properly saw it.
In the Lodi's origin scene, where you kind of see
and we see, I'm guessing it's Chicago, because that's where he's from, or he works, or whatever. I don't know. And you see a city in a skyscraper, and then you see in the reflection the Black Fleet above the city, and then it spins round, and then you see the whole thing just annihilated with just the pyramid ships. Like there's a massive red hue on the. I'd love that as like a wallpaper. For something like just a still cool. From it. Yeah. I know we've gone past the light and dark side, but I love that imagery of like just giant, imposing black pyramids. I know they're not really pyramids. What are they?
They're pyramids, prisms. Also, just speaking of Chicago, as a Chicagoland native, I'm very excied that they are doing that.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to that.
Are they going to add your corpse into old Chicago? Bungie, please add Scotty's skeleton into...
Please. I want to be featured as a dead person.
Yeah, there's just a name tag. It's like skeleton in a car somewhere.
I hope there's going to be like Chicago landmarks.
Well,
I hope the bean is going to be there.
They've hinted about old Chicago since D1.
Right.
There was announcements in the tower about I don't know, it being, I don't know, something going on in old Chicago. So we're going to go there at some point. I doubt it will be. It might not be for a while, but hopefully we go there soon.
They name dropped it. They name dropped it with Ikora mentioning Oren's going to go there.
Sorry, Joe. What I saw in a chat earlier, I think it was someone's day one race, and obviously we know there was the law stuff about JFK.
Yes.
And someone was like, I can't. They were like, "What's the best strap for the JFK DBS race?"
God.
That'd be rolling for a bit.
Bad taste.
So he was killed by that hand cannon. He wasn't killed by Graviton. No, he wasn't killed by Graviton Lance.
Yeah, he was killed as the hand cannon.
Yeah, he was killed by the hand cannon.
Gotcha.
But how? It's not got a long range, has it? I think it's got quite a short range, that gun.
Its default is it's got 40 range by default. So
yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, with the damage fall off, there's no way.
Yeah.
Last thing that the thing I didn't like is I think you brought this up already, but just it is a little buggy.
Yeah.
There is some stuff that happens where you can get stuck. I got stuck twice. Which is partly I'm stupid, partly that probably shouldn't happen.
I remembered something that happened to me that was very frustrating. I died doing something, I don't remember what, and there's lasers stopping you from going in certain rooms.
Yes, you spawn into them.
It spawned me into them 3 times in a row. Yep. I was very angry. I was like towards the very end of a mission as well, and I'd been in it for a while, and I was like, I really don't want to have to leave and start this again.
Right.
Like it was on the first day as well, so I stayed up a bit later.
Yeah,
I was like,
sorry.
Yeah.
I had one bug. I was telling Scotty before we got on. In quarantine, there's a part where you're in this room where you've got to use the relocator, and by default, when you shoot it into the initial, system, it launches it up, and there's like a ceiling of like 4 of those little nodes, and it just kind of infinitely like shoots them over and over and over again. And you have to hit one of the nodes to like rotate it. And I didn't see it right away. I was like, oh, I must be missing it or shooting a different starting point. And something about it being up there, because if you don't change the trajectory, that thing will just loop forever and ever.
Yeah, and I know the one you're on about. Yeah.
Something happened where one of those nodes slightly shifted. I think like it physically moved. So then no longer could the energy thing actually shoot into it. It was one of the ones you don't shoot to rotate it. It's one of the stationary ones. And I think it got moved, like physically something in the game bugged it out and it moved so that it no longer got hit by the beam. And so like I couldn't progress. Like I even looked up a video where I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to just get hit. Like there's no way I can influence it not getting shot because it's like one of the first nodes. So I had to like leave the mission. And I was reading that there's like a bug where it's like you can't sometimes continue on. And so I was kind of nervous that maybe I bricked the campaign, but I was able to load back in, and I was only like 1 checkpoint back when I was able to get back to it. But I had tons of audio issues too. I'm still having audio issues even in PvP. And there's also a new bug that I found that was kind of hitting me last night in PvP, where sometimes I would just spawn back in and my run speed would be at like half of what it is. So it looks like I'm running in like molasses. Like I there's no other way to describe it, where I'm like I'm doing the sprint animation, like my gun is up, but I'm only running at like half speed. It's really weird.
What I did, this isn't a bug, but I did have slight disappointment. This is my own fault. I saw someone post about the new comp weapon.
Yeah.
And it's the same model.
Solemn Remembrance.
And it's the same model as Not Forgotten.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and I knew it, and they said it was stasis, and I was like, oh my god, I've got to get it. So I sat there playing comp for ages to get it. Got it, and I was like, oh, it's a 120. I fucking hate 120s.
No, it's a 140.
No, it's a 120.
No, it's not.
Not Forgotten, the new gun.
Yeah, it's a 140. It's like a bug. It says that it's 120, but it's 140.
What? It's a 140?
Yes.
Oh, actually? Oh, okay, well, I'm not disappointed then.
Yeah,
I hate one. I didn't even use it.
And
I was like, oh, no.
And you can farm it, so if you continue to play comp, I think every time you win, there's a chance you can get, because I've gotten like 3 or 4 to drop on the same character.
Oh, it took me like 8 games to get.
Well, yeah, you have to do your placement
drop.
matches. But then after you do your placement matches, I think there's always a chance if you win your match and you do well, like if you're not, you weren't carried and got, 0 kills and 10 deaths but still win.
Yeah.
I think as long as you do well, you always have a chance of getting one to drop if you win, because I've gotten like 3 or 4 to drop.
Oh, it is a 140.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah, and it's pretty good.
It's a bug. Okay, it's a bug. I was so disappointed when I saw 120. I was like,
yeah, someone else mentioned that it's a 120. It's like, no, it's not. It's 140 because it does 80 to the head, and it's
okay. I'm going to use it then because I love Not Forgotten, but I like my Frozen Orbit, and I can't run.
Right.
And I'm not a gun person. I know I play Destiny and a lot of shooters, but I'm not a gun person. I mean, I'm British, so it's different culture. But yeah, I don't think guns look cool to me, if that makes sense. But Not Forgotten, I'm like, okay, that looks cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
Something about it. I'm very happy that they're using it again. Yes.
Kind of maybe a little bit of a topic shift, but the weapons stat is an interesting choice.
I don't like it in PvP.
I haven't played around with any of the stat stuff. I sort of read I didn't read enough about it when it was coming out. I kind of just ignored it. And
the weapon stat is very meaningful.
Yeah,
I would look into it.
It's kind of unfortunate because
it's almost too meaningful.
Yeah, well, and I know there's probably people can run the numbers, but I have played against people already, like in comp, who have a 200 weapon stat, and that's a 6% damage increase in PvP, which doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
There were times where I feel like it puts this doubt in your mind where I lost gunfights, and I'm like, is it just because he had a higher gun stat than I did? I don't.
Yeah, I think they should change that. I didn't know that. They should change that.
A flat.
Yeah.
So you could so you could stack that. So I could get a damage boost from a healing, an empowering rift,
right?
And get a kill with Ace of Spades. So I've got Memento Mori, and then I've got my weapon stat at 200, and that's 6% down. I'd have to calculate that. Could you 2-tap? You should be able to 2-tap.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's
just, but it's like, it felt really bad against auto rifles and pulse rifles, where it's just like, because that 6% I feel like goes further, and it's just like there was times where I lost gunfights, and it kind of was just like, is this just because he has a higher gun stat modifier? I don't think that has a place in PvP.
No, it should be disabled.
But they explicitly, it's explicitly like a feature of the gun stat of you do more damage in PvE, which is also kind of a. We'll talk about that when we get to some of the quality of life.
They should just change it so that in PvE you do more damage. In PvP it's something else, like reload and handling. Even though that's
or you have a
isn't
chance to periodically find an extra special brick or something like that.
Yeah, which is still an advantage, but it's not a fucking. Oh, I'm going to do more damage to you.
Right.
Yeah, that's dumb.
If you're flat out winning duels because of it.
Well, I'd done a lot of comp games and didn't really have that, but I was sniping, so it was kind of like I was hitting them in the head, which is a kill, or if I was bodying them, I'm just shooting them in the head with a hand cannon and they're dead. So I never really had or I was playing other people who were, I don't know, using a hand cannon, so I was getting free tap. Right. So I haven't really looked at it, if you know what I mean, properly. I haven't really, but I will next time
that's one of the only things to the whole armor change that I'm not a fan of is I don't think that kind of stuff should bleed into PvP. Because then
honestly, I don't even think it should be a thing in PvE. To be honest with you, I think a flat damage buff stat just doesn't really make sense in this game when you have so many guns.
It's from other games, like say Diablo, isn't it? Where you have increase.
So we need to talk about that because that's where they're clearly following Diablo's model, but they're doing it wrong. And I think it's to the detriment of the game. So maybe this is a good transition to we'll talk about sort of some of the changes. So like that's So one of the big things they did is right, like the way power works now is, and that was kind of one of the other weird things from the campaign is I could have sworn, and I think a lot of other people could have sworn too. They said if you beat the legendary campaign, I think everyone thought we were just going to get automatically a set of 200 power armor, but they didn't
like how
do
the
that.
I thought they
previous
said that.
Monster
I thought that they said that we get that.
No, I thought so too, but you don't. Like you get the
didn't.
exotic if you do it on legendary, but that's it. And so now you're grinding. The cool thing is any activity you do in the portal slowly drip feeds you up to that 200. So it doesn't matter if you're doing PvP or running solo ops, which are really cool by the way, or strikes or whatever. You're slowly, kind of building up to that. So that's nice. But the way it's kind of done now is you have these world tier difficulties, at least on the new location, Kepler, where you have your normal, legendary, fabled, and then mythic. And legendary is kind of like what all enemies are like 20 power above you, which is noticeable but not terrible. And then when you get to fabled, you have to have a gear score of at least 150, and then everything is 30 above you. And then if you get to mythic, you have to have a gear score recommended of 200, but that doesn't really matter because everything is 40, like you're locked at being always 40 level below. And that is so Diablo kind of does something similar. I'm saying Diablo 4, although I think, you could say Diablo 3 had something similar, but they had like 16 tiers of difficulty, which I think is too many. And then Diablo 2 has normal, nightmare, and hell, and it kind of has the same principle. But the idea is in Diablo 4, you have your normal, hard, penitent, and some other difficulty I can't remember. And then you get your torment difficulties. You have torment 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each torment level you go up, enemies have more health, they do more damage, and your resistances take a flat, like, knock against you. So you have to build more into resist and armor, so you can't go all in. The only problem is, and this is where, like, the dividing line is, and this is something we kind of briefly talked about when they announced all this, and I was kind of weary of how they were going to do this, is while you have those resistances against you and you have, enemies have more health and do more damage, you innately get gear that allows you to do fundamentally way more damage. And ultimately, it's not until you get to the higher tier difficulties that you're getting gear that allows you to way out damage. And that's kind of the end game cycle in something like Diablo. But also at the same time, you're passively leveling up your Paragon score, which are points that you can socket into these boards that will give you massive damage multipliers as you're sort of continuing to level up. And that's where Destiny does not do that. You're just, once you get into mythic difficulty, everything is just 40 levels higher than you, and you can't really do anything to out damage or increase your damage. It's just everything's a bullet sponge from what I've seen, everything's a bullet sponge and you get one tap by everything, which is not how it's done in something like Diablo, but they clearly tried to mimic.
I haven't tried that. I have
done Fabled, and it's not terrible, but that's only because I'm using the Void Scout Rifle, the exotic that's bugged and does way more damage than it has any business. And to be honest,
is it supposed to do less?
I think so. I think I think when you do the aim down sight, it does that damage buff. I think that multiplier is like way higher than it's supposed to be.
Oh no, I thought it was not. Oh, maybe it did. Oh, didn't they disable it for day one?
I think so. Yeah, because its damage output is like, I think the normal firing mode is fine. I think it's just that ADS like scope, like that where you like cripple something or you target it or hunt it, and then
it's a fun exotic. It's a very fun exotic.
But I think that aim down sight is doing more than it's supposed to.
It is bugged in the sense of it doesn't make you invisible straight away, so you can get about another maybe 2 extra shots off before you go invisible.
Right.
So what I was doing was I was shooting something and getting a crit kill, and then just shooting off twice into something else, then it would make you go invisible. So you can get a few shots in before, which I thought was quite.
So yeah. So like I like the idea that they did world tier difficulties, but I thought it was going to be predicated on like, oh, you need to be at least 200 light before you can enter mythic. But the incentive to continue to increase your light level then is eventually you can get to 300 or 400 power, and now you're one tapping everything in mythic difficulty. and earning better gear. But it sounds like it doesn't matter in that no matter what, you're always just 40 levels lower, which is not how it's done in something like Diablo. And that's like bad. Like the incentive in Diablo is to do higher difficulty is to get like, you get your tier 5 gear. In this case, you get 4 GAs and 3 GAs and things like that. You have a higher chance of getting them, and you have a higher chance of getting like mythic gear or uber uniques, as they used to be called. But like, you are passively leveling up so that eventually your damage becomes sufficient. And that's what makes, when you're first kind of leveling up your first character in Diablo each season, what makes it interesting is because you're at that like, oh, am I ready to take on Torment 2? Like I can one-shot bosses in Torment 1, but if I go into Torment 2, I'm going to lose 50% of all my resistances, and now I'm a little more glass cannon-y. Well, maybe I should farm a little bit more and get a few more levels on my Paragon board. Oh, now I've got this socket unlocked that allows me to do a huge crit multiplier whenever I apply a curse on something. Now I can take on Torment 2, and now I'm back to one-tapping bosses. And then you kind of level up again in there. But like, that's not how they're doing it. But they're trying to like frame gear around it. So it's like what they needed to do is like, maybe they'll eventually do this, is like tiered loot needs to have some kind of innate damage multiplier on it to incentivize you to do it. It's like, oh, I finally got this tier 3 class item. When I equip it, I get a flat damage resistance. Like, and I know they kind of did it with the artifact, but like 5 or 10% is not enough. Like it needs to be something like substantial so that when you get a full set, now you're actually stacking up a huge damage multiplier against enemies in that mythic difficulty. Now you can try to go in at a lower level, and maybe you're going to get your ass kicked, but maybe you're able to beat one level just barely, and then you finally get that weapon that is tier 5, and now you can actually start building into it. And now you're able to accomplish mythic a little bit better. Kind of sounds like that's not the case. Like once you hit 200 gear, you can go into mythic, but you can't. It doesn't matter if you're 200 or 400 power level. You're not going to have any bit of an easier time because nothing really gives you more of a damage buff other than that weapon stat. But even then, it's like, what, 20%? Like, if you have a 200 stat weapon, like, I don't see the damage scaling properly in order for Mythic to make sense. That's all I'm getting at.
I do think that it needs to be looked at. And I feel like they probably will. I don't think they'll leave it like that.
Because no one's in their right mind gonna hang out in mythic tier difficulty unless you're like, okay, it's like GMs, right? No one goes out of their way to just kind of hang out and do GMs, and unless you can really you've got very specific builds where, and even then you're like, everyone's in it with the scout rifle just peak shotting everything because otherwise you're getting one tapped by everything. And again, that's not how it works in Diablo 4. If you build into your resistances correctly, you can tank damage from enemies. You obviously still can't just stand there and like let everything swarm you, but your damages and resistances scale up with that. They're just meant to be kind of gates to make sure that you've built into that gear correctly and that your build's more optimized. Yeah. But here it's like a grenade build that you use with Controverse Hold is going to do the same damage basically at normal as it is in Mythic. Because there's no, like, what the artifact should do is, like, as you level up the artifact, you should be able to socket like beyond 200 damage or beyond 200 stats or something, and then make it a temporary. But like, I don't understand what the point of having a giant ceiling for power level when it doesn't matter once you go beyond a certain thing. Like, you're not doing more damage the higher your power level. It just doesn't make sense to me. Because that's not how how ARPGs do it. But I that being said, I did play Fabled for a while. It was fun. Like I said, I was using the scout rifle. I was using other things as well. The scout rifle just felt like the damage output that all weapons should be doing.
The third iteration?
The third iteration, yeah. And that's...
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really fun where it's at right now.
Right.
But it is really good, but I agree. I feel like that is where most primaries should be at.
Right. And in Fabled, I wasn't able to just run guns a-blazing. Like, I still had to kind of peek shoot. I had to be strategic, but I wasn't getting one shot either. Like, it actually... To be honest, Fabled felt like what the legendary campaign difficulty should have been, like in terms of kind of how much damage I was taking and how much I was outputting. Again, I was probably doing more damage than I should have been, which is not a good tell. Like, I should have gone in and used like Graviton Lance or something where it's like very similar in design, but just seeing like, oh, it goes from like 2 tapping enemies to like 5 tapping enemies, like that's probably not feeling good at that point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, right.
But
I do think it was easier. I do think Legend campaign was.
yes,
I felt it was easier too. I
it
remember in like Lightfall and stuff, like banging my head against a wall, fighting Callus in that final thing.
Yeah, but
on Solo Legendary, but this was different.
I
Guardian.
I liked
the fat tumor head.
I loved the idea though of like a camp, like a, you know, I think it's with the servitor is the second to last thing that you fight before the final boss. Like I liked that you had that kind of where you had to get the Matterspark and then you had to charge up the thing and then you get shot out of the cannon and you have to like disrupt his shield like mid fight.
Oh, the shank one.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why that's why the bosses weren't as difficult and why the campaign wasn't as difficult, because they sort of subsidized the difficulty with.
I was worried that when I was doing that, getting to the platform, that I was just gonna like kapoo myself off the side.
I was stressed out.
I was worried
every time. I was like, I swear to God, if I have to wipe because I fall off the ledge because of the matter balls.
Oh, I want to say the guy who voiced the Archon
was pretty good.
Amazing.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
He's awesome.
I
was going to make that note too.
And
I
remember from the first mission, I'm like, damn, he's awesome.
But I can't. Oh, like I was this. I'm like, I recognize his voice from somewhere, but I couldn't quite pinpoint it. I'm
gonna look it up. Who plays Lavask? Right, that's his name.
I thought his. You know, he's
I definitely recognize his voice somewhere.
And I all of the stuff with the House Exile was really interesting.
Is it the same guy who voices Krell, General Krell in Clone Wars?
Oh, really?
No. I think that's who I thought it might be, or someone else.
Oh, okay.
But the some of the lines that they delivered were
yeah. But yeah, Rob, I agree. A House of Exile I thought was really interesting. I'm a sucker for like false prophet characters and groups that are like delusionally like religious in some doomed concept that they believe in. I think that stuff is cool, and their interactions or their the dichotomy between them and the Ionians I think is cool.
Yeah, I love that too, where it's like you get a sense that like at some point they were kind of helping each other out, and then this guy comes along and sort of like enfranchises them and changes their ideology, makes them hostile.
Yeah.
Like all of
it's
that
like offended that they are preventing their ascendancy, and it's like, nah, screw you guys.
Right.
We're going all the way.
Yeah, and I love that his plan is just to open up a black hole so they can all get sucked in, and it's just like, so they're crazy, cool. Like all of that was awesome. I
like that that's going on, and the Ionians exist as like a counterpoint and like have this like firm belief in like science and stuff like that, and want to like preserve it and like worship the same thing but in a different way was cool.
Right.
And then you also have the conductor at the same time who just wants to use it to bring her wife back, basically.
Yeah.
So you have like 3 different groups all treating this basically like holy interdimensional godlike thing like in a different way. And I thought that was cool.
Well, which is kind of how religion works, right? Like every major religion has their different slightly interpretation of what God actually is and what he's there to do for them. And people end up fighting wars over that, you know, and it's like, but it's the same guy, you know, like, it was a great, like, I thought all of that was good. And it was explained in such a positive way that was like, I thought it was fantastic.
I agree. I think stuff like that is super interesting and cool.
I can't find the guy who voices him.
I can't either. It says it's not listed or something, but we got to find out who that is because he was great. But speaking of voice acting, I also want to just touch on everybody. I thought did a really good job this go around. I really liked everyone's performances. I think Brian Villalobos as Lodi was great. I thought he did a really good job. I thought the girl who plays Orin is fantastic as well. I'm glad that she got to play a character
Yes.
with like a human character with personality and stuff, as opposed to just saying cryptic things as the emissary. I thought she did great. Drifter was great. So I mean, who doesn't love Todd Haberkorn? He was awesome. And I will say about Ikora, as jarring as it was, that first scene.
Yes.
She's a very talented voice actress, and to be honest with you, I kind of like got used to it by the end of it.
Yeah. By the end, like, I didn't notice it.
By the criticality mission where she's like tripping and she's like basically everything after that, the scene where Ikora finds out who she was in the past, just very well done. I thought she did a good job. And I think Ikora as a character, I think that they've made finally like much more interesting as well. I thought they did a good job. I was going to say,
I found her finding out about her actual life before being resurrected was very interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would want that, but I'm happy we got it. Like it was very
yes, it was done so well. And I think the train thing and the flower and all that, I remember thinking that in that opening scene, like, why are they doing this? Like, why is this their invitation? Like, I know the 9 are like cryptic or whatever, but like, I mean, do they have to be like this? But then you get to that scene and you realize kind of the reason that they used the train and the flower and all that instead of literally any other way.
Ikora literally says, I don't like the train. Like, I don't like it.
Yes. But I think part of why they used that as their invitation is just because they just have like a sick sense of humor.
Right.
And I thought that was very telling of like who the 9 are in terms of personality and how detached they are from like caring about anything quote unquote beneath them. Right. It's just like trivial to them and it's like almost comical. Yeah. That scene is so good. I really like that one scene where the emissary and Lodi are possessed by the 9 and we get a full like
conversation,
full on council meeting between all of them. So cool.
And they're like bickering and petty and that's so good.
And they all
Lodi, you have a seat, but we do not grant you the rank.
We do not grant you the rank of master.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so good. And all the 9 have like distinct personalities.
Yeah.
Did you guys read the lore book that you kind of get?
I have not yet.
It's interesting. It's just kind of like you get a little bit of a small speech from each member of the 9, basically. It very cryptic. I'm gonna have to reread it, but it's interesting. And I thought that was cool. They kind of drip feed you that lore book over the course of the campaign.
That's cool.
Doesn't really answer anything, but it's a nice little additional supplementary piece of story.
Sorry to intercut. It's definitely him. It has to be him. If it's not him, I'll show you after, Rob, because you probably don't know what he sounds like. I've just like played like a snippet of something. And I'm like, it's got to be him because they edited his voice. I've heard him in other things, and they've done a little bit of editing, I think, somewhere where when he voices General Krell, and they use some of similar thing for his voice for the Archon. Not obviously for the Archon, he's full alien.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's got to be him. If it's not, then it's a guy doing a very good impression of being him doing that voice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
in addition, another thing that I thought was neat, did they reveal that there was a new Vex enemy prior to this?
I don't think so.
Yes, they did.
Okay, because they did? Okay.
Yeah.
It surprised me. Yeah, the Swarm was cool. The
they were in trailers. Yeah, they're in trailers.
Okay. I thought that was cool. Trailer. I didn't know there was going to be a thing. I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And the flying.
I knew the Corsairs were in it. Those are cool. But yeah, and to circle back to Matterspark, I really think that the hate for that is so unjustified.
Oh yeah, completely.
If you get motion sick, okay, fine. That's outside your control. But
yeah,
Matterspark, I think was a very fun addition, and I think what makes it good is the fact that there's a lot of things you can do while in it. And I mean, you can like there's a attack button. There's like the super overcharge.
I do enjoy
button.
that
there's
you
a
can
dash.
attack.
There's a
I think
jump.
that was if you couldn't attack people in it, that would be very frustrating. But I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get lots of harpies in the area with arc shields, so
break them
it's
off.
very
exactly.
like yeah.
Exactly. It makes things
Especially
it breaks things
now
up, makes things fun.
in like the free roam, and you can set the world tier higher, and obviously it feels like I know they don't do match game anymore, but it kind of feels like match games on.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can just quickly, because it's essentially your Sparrow on Kepler,
Right.
you can just turn into it, shock the harpies, they kind of do their shields all break, and then you can just come out of Matterspark immediately.
Yeah, it's cool. And I like that Mattermorph as well. Actually, you can use as a weapon against enemies. Like you can suspend them and things like that. That's fun.
And you can use the cannon to shoot things like.
And the cannon, use that a lot, actually.
So as someone, I know we kind of talked about this. Super Metroid's like one of my favorite games of all time. Like it's in my top 3, we'll say. And I really, really like Metroid Prime. So I was just elated to have just some kind of version of that. Like I know, like I definitely am sympathetic to people playing on M&K with the motion sickness they might be experiencing. But I just thought all of that was so cool to just have neat abilities that you just sort of use to explore and traverse, and it's just I don't know. I'm just glad they did it. Like all of it's just it's fun, and it's like you don't need a Sparrow.
It feels unique.
Yeah, exactly. It stands out on its own so much, and but it still feels like Destiny. Like that. I think what's so cool is they did such a good job of like it feels unique, but they did still make it feel like something familiar. Like I think it was good.
Yeah, it feels like Destiny, but it still feels fresh enough that it doesn't feel like anything that came before it. And I think that's good.
Yes.
I think it is a step in the right direction. It does not feel like a step backward.
Yeah.
It feels like you guys mentioned before, like they're innovating and experimenting and doing new things, and I think that's probably the most important thing that they could be doing. How do you guys feel about the destination? I know I said I don't want to talk about the side quests too much because I haven't done any of them yet.
Some parts I liked, some parts I didn't like. There were some missions where it was like, oh, this area's really weird, and it's like, we've already been here, man.
That was my we go back to the same spots a little too often.
There were other bits where I'm like, okay, I like this. Like there were some cave systems that I was like, oh, this is fun, and so it was a mixed bag. It's nice to have a not linear space like the Pale Heart. Like it was cool that they did that, but it was kind of frustrating like having to run through these areas. But it's nice that they're like, you can have fast travel back again because we kind of lost it for a while. There's like fuck all fast travel. I know it's because we don't have a Sparrow on Kepler. That is the reason why they've done it. But it is nice having very quick, fast travel places. So I like that. I think the enemy density is good. It's like some places feel very sparse, but this is well thought out, I think, for some areas. Obviously, some of the cave systems, there's nothing in them. It's nice that you can farm materials from just picking them up and the enemies. That's cool. And the secrets are nice. I haven't found a lot of them yet, but just stumbling upon secrets is always nice.
I think most of the sections of Kepler feel distinct from each other, which I think is cool.
Yeah. It's not obviously this grand design of something trippy like the final shape. It's not colourful in the sense of like Neo Muna was, no matter how you feel about that. It's a very colourful environment. Obviously, and it's not like eerie like some other destinations, and it wasn't, say, different sort of colourful in the Dreaming City. It felt very D1 location esque, which obviously is good in some ways, bad in others. I'm hoping we don't stay with it's rock stuff, like we get somewhere that isn't just rock. I get what people are saying about that it had similar architecture to Titan and stuff like that. So I get
reminded
that.
me of Venus.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm on about like the building architecture, like the design is the same as Titan, but it's like, well, it's from the Golden Age.
Well, yeah, and that was someone was criticizing that it's like, oh, they just took, they took assets from like Titan and put it in there, and like it was interesting because someone brought it, like they got crucified in on Reddit. They got I was like minus like hundreds of downvotes, but it's like, oh, God forbid that we find another installation that has the same architecture from like. Why is that such a weird thing? Like, okay, maybe it is reused assets, quote unquote. But
I do want environmental like consistency with storytelling. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like
it's like taking a character from a previous expansion and then being like, "Wow, you just reused the same asset for this character." It's like, no shit, it's the same person, bro.
Like, if we had like, it's like Crucible. It has that aesthetic, on the design stuff. Obviously, they've changed the aesthetic, but it's always kind of been red.
Right.
And if you change that completely, then it's not that anymore. It's something different. So
yeah, and I think but it's still like, yeah, maybe it's got some familiarity to it, but it's like it makes it feel like you're still playing in Destiny and not like
exactly.
Neomuna made you feel like you were in a different game sometimes, like that.
Yes,
whereas like
it didn't feel like Destiny at all.
Right, this is like, yeah, we're traversing around as a morph ball, but you're still doing it in this like, again, post-apocalyptic research station where Vex have taken over. Like, I'm glad that it had some familiarity to it because it helps keep the recognition alive, the brand recognition.
No, for real, I agree. Neomuna. So much better than Neomuna. The whole aesthetic makes a lot more sense. I think using like Golden Age stuff, Golden Age stuff is so cool.
I'm happy the sacrifice that we got with that doing badly because we got the soundtrack for Lightfall.
Yeah,
that's good enough for me. I'm happy.
I'm never gonna get overflowing like the river.
No. Listen. Right, listen. I will take the hit that was Lightfall's story and environment. Right, for the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is peak Destiny music.
It's pretty good.
Really? Oh, well, actually, you bring up a good topic. How do you guys feel about the soundtrack for Edge of Fate? 'Cause I think it's awesome.
Soundtrack's really good.
There's a bit of music I like in the story missions that they use, but it's not in the official release properly, and that happens a lot in Destiny.
I know they do that a lot.
But it's like, this one felt like, come on, man, because you've got the song on the soundtrack. It's just this whole section of the high action that they use in the fights in some of the areas
just isn't included.
It's literally 10 seconds of the song.
That's so sad.
And it's like, I'll double check the name of the song. I liked the remix of All In. All In is one of my favourite Destiny soundtracks. Piece of music.
I respect that, but I don't get it. I really do not care for that song, but more power to you.
Have you not heard All In? Like, just
I've
the track
heard it.
itself?
It's fine.
Go listen to it again.
Again?
Yeah, I think you've made an error.
Okay. I'll reevaluate. I love the song that they originally made, "Dreaming of the Past."
The grand design is the
grand design is great. Yeah, that's a good one.
There's another one that they use in emissions a lot, and I can't find it.
It was good. And when they reused they in the one where you fight the Minotaur, I think in the last level, they kind of repurposed part of the original like Vex theme from all the way back in D1.
There is it is on the official soundtrack. It is on the official soundtrack. However, it does not have the
horn
bit of it doesn't have the
I know. I was like,
so
I know when I told them I was like, wait for it, and it didn't play. I was like, no.
Yes, I was waiting. I was like, what are they doing? I was like teased the whole way through this song, and then it just never appeared.
As its health goes down, it kind of like, it does that adaptive thing where it starts getting a little more hectic and they add more instruments and the drums start coming in and you're like, oh, where is it? And then it's like, and I played it in my head. That's all that matters. So, but, and then, I have to.
The adaptive thing where the music just like stops playing in the middle of the thing abruptly.
That depressed me. That depressed me. You know, I love the Destiny music and that depressed me. What do we think I know we need to do a video event, a recording eventually, and we'll have guests on for this. And we'll rank everything, and we'll do that. But,
every song.
Yeah, we'll do not every song, because I would be here till the
soundtrack we already did our soundtrack ranking.
We did.
No, but we haven't done it since Final Shape and this. We did it with Lightfall.
It's only been a year.
No, but we were going to have guests on for it, like music guests. We were going to have for it. I thought that was kind of the main point.
Yeah.
But how do you think it compared? Because they did hire back. Was it?
Rhoda Move.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some people were either left or were made redundant or sacked or whatever happened. They were hired back as contract workers, which I theorized was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Still scummy.
Contract is ridiculous.
Yeah. It happens a lot with artists.
Oh yeah.
In like concept artists, it happens a lot. I remember reading, you know, when Riot lobbed like 400 people.
Yeah.
They hired like 50% of the artists back. Like literally, they contacted them like a week later. Like, we want you to come back, but it will be under a contract. Like a contract worker instead of like a permanent employee. To pay them less, basically. Not give them a raise, that sort of rubbish. So they have done that. Obviously, Salvatore is not here. I did feel there wasn't as much. There was something missing. I can't put my finger on it, but there was something missing. The music's very good.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's bad.
I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, this is the first real major Salvatore-less track, and I mean, I'm one of those that's been coping since Marty left all the way back in 2014. So, you know,
I didn't know this, but Marty didn't actually do a lot for the original Destiny soundtrack.
What?
Because they released officially the original music of the Spheres.
Yeah, I listen to that all the time.
Right, and they're credited. Well, some of the music that I thought Marty did, he didn't actually do. So the the Great Unknown.
I think so.
Like
I'd recognize it if I heard it.
It's like the original Orbit music.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the first bit of music written for Destiny. Salvatore did that. That was not. But it's like there's a lot of pieces of music where it was like, all right, it's a group effort. I'm not saying that they had no hand in input anywhere, but there was a lot of older music that was credited to him only because that's just how it was. But he didn't actually do them, which is interesting to see because now Sony own it.
Right.
They published it officially, like on the, like on YouTube where it actually comes under the artist.
Right.
Like the artist doesn't upload it, it just automatically puts it to the artist. And Sony do that. And now because they own it, they did it properly like earlier in the year. So yeah. There might be some songs that you can't find now because they were changed, credited. But yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I'm curious about that though, because if you look at like on Spotify,
I'm not sure if it's changed on the.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and like he's on almost every track except for like Deconstruction and
Paul McCartney's on a lot of them.
Yeah, right, because he helped write some of it too, right? So
he did. So the thing is though, what they do it on is if the theme, if they were in the studio at the time, they sometimes do it based on. I'm not discrediting anyone here. I'm just saying this is like some on Spotify at least, and credit sometimes with like film and TV and stuff. that, but also, someone's credited on Spotify for the Edge of Fate soundtrack who doesn't work on Destiny anymore because they were sacked, or whatever Bungie did to them. But because it uses their song, one of the remixes,
Right.
so it's either from the Trickster, All In, the Vex, whatever, the Hunted, they get credited,
right?
Which is fair, obviously.
Right.
But then it seems if someone wasn't in the know, it would seem like they were still working at Bungie.
Well, yeah, no, of course.
I don't
that's
know.
why, like, I think Marty's name is on a couple of Rise of Iron tracks. I think.
Yeah.
Because they had to. I think they used something that he.
Oh yeah, just like a motif or something that like they pulled from. Interesting.
Maybe.
So, where does the Edge of Fate campaign rank for you guys among the rest?
Under Final Shape and Lightfall, but around the same as like Witch Queen and
under Lightfall.
Yeah, I don't know how you make that statement. Scotty, we need to talk after this is over.
Not the story, the missions itself.
Yeah,
I
okay,
thought you were talking about like the campaign missions.
Maybe put it into
Overall.
two categories.
No, two
okay.
categories. Taking it all together.
I thought you were talking about the missions themselves, like the campaign missions.
I mean the campaign. If you consider both of those things together and the weight of both aspects of the campaign, where does it rank? Do not say it's below Lightfall. I will have
different ranking then. I would say it's on par with Witch Queen, but under Final Shape.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard people say it's better than Witch Queen, but I'm gonna say
I saw someone say that it was Curse of Osiris level the other day.
Whoa.
And I was like,
those people are just butthurt about Matterspark, and it's like it's not that
but
bad.
I think
like,
I'm convinced there's people who on their Christmas list each year or whatever religious thing you do. What would you like for your birthday this year, Timmy? I want the next Destiny expansion to be to not like it, so I can complain about this.
right, so I can go on Reddit and make angry posts.
I am genuine at this point where it's like if you genuinely do not like the game, just don't like. I say this anyway, just don't fucking play it. Honestly,
just turn it off, man.
If you like the game and you wanna give feedback, that's different. But if you genuinely have like. If you're like the game is shit and that is your feedback, that's not helpful in any way. What is there? What can I attain from that? If I was someone making something and someone's response for feedback was it was shit, it was awful. What do I do? How do I make it better?
Right.
I can't. Yeah, I haven't even gone into the shooting range.
Oh yeah, the shooting range, the portal is. It's a mixed bag, but we should definitely talk about it more.
I think the portal did the opposite of what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, where is? Oh yeah, it's on the portal screen.
I understand everyone's sort of like the director is one of those things that gives Destiny's part of its flavor and spice, right? What makes like this cool like orbital map thing but it's like. There's so many things to do, and it's so nuanced that it's like because I actually have a buddy who just started playing Destiny like a couple weeks ago, and like he hasn't started playing the really like any campaigns, but he did get that sale where it was like you can get every expansion for like $20, so he picked that up, and like we're gonna go through the campaign pretty soon. But it's like it's one of those things where I was trying to like he got through the tutorial area and the Cosmodrome. And then it's just like you open up the map and there's 8 billion things to click on. And it's just like, no one's going to click on it, right? And they even talked about this, right? Like they probably have metrics on how many times someone has logged in, checked the directory and go, no, I don't know what to play. And then they just turn it off, right? Like the portal does solve that problem. I think there's some UI stuff that can be improved to make it a little more intuitive and explain what like bonus focus is. And I don't like getting a grade after every PvP match because it makes me feel bad if I didn't do well. But
I thought that was so funny, the grading system. I saw that, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right. Don't tell me I got a C+.
I'm the one giving the grades out.
Just because I'm not playing the meta. Like,
only A's. Yeah. Only A's.
Oh yeah, sure.
Only A's.
But I want to. These are all like these are all new systems. For all intents and purposes, this is kind of like a Destiny 3, right? If we're being honest, like there's so many new things that they've added that it's like we have to give it some time, let it flourish, give reasonable critical feedback that they can use. Don't just go, I hate this, it sucks. Like, well, what about it sucks? Like, this is the opportunity where they need that, like, oh, this doesn't quite work, this isn't explained well, this needs to be fleshed out better, like the menus are maybe a little awkward to navigate. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think we should talk about and play around with and experiment and really give, like, that's what the community needs to do. Like, this idea of just like, oh, this is shit, I'm not going to play it anymore, is like not helpful to anybody. And it's just like, I'm tired of reading that kind of stuff. So, all right, I'll get off my soapbox.
I agree. No. That was good. Good soapbox. Good soapbox.
I think all the changes are mostly good. I know there's some people butthurt about some of the stealth nerf changes and things like that. And it's like, okay, but as someone who
just don't get shot, bro.
Right. Well, last year I ran nothing but Getaway Artist Prismatic for the entire year because it was the only interesting build. And it's like, they need to shake things up. They need to move things around. They need to bring stuff up. Some bring stuff down. Like, and they did that, and it's like, I'm sorry that your build that you've been using for 3 years is not usable anymore. Go find something else. I'm sure there's something. Stagnation is like the worst thing that could happen to this game and has been happening to this game. And I'm so grateful that they have drastically changed things. And like, it's the first week. People are going to figure out new builds and new things and new, like, just give it time. Like, I hate this, like, immediate, either it's terrible or it's good, and not giving it any opportunity to, like, flourish. We don't even know if, like, maybe at reset there's going to be something that comes out that we just don't know about. Like, it's just, like, God, like, just relax. Like, give it time to breathe. Oh, my God. There's so much negativity right now, and it's so good, and it deserves to be praised.
I agree. I think we all like.
I think there's fair criticisms of it, but I do think some
but
of
I think it's way too hyperbolic and disingenuous a lot of the time.
Yes, I agree.
And on that
note, I think we close it. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for hopping on and chatting. As always, we'll see you guys next time. We'll talk more about Kepler and destinations and portals and things like that. So, thank you guys. Appreciate you listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
This voice recording away and go on with your life, because you and I both know you'd have me yapping in your ear for the rest of your days.
Want to further the discussion? Get in touch with us at any of our Twitter handles, all of which can be found at our podcast description.